Let's go back for a second to the budget. The $8 billion shortfall without raising taxes and improved Ohio's credit outlook. Tim, why don't you just say a few words here about the challenge we faced and how we got it done, in shorthand. Indeed.
Governor, thank you. Well, again, the governor mentioned $8 billion structural imbalance. Over $8 billion in one-time revenue that was used to balance the previous budget. Significant decisions that had been put off not only in that 2-year period, but oftentimes for years in some of the key state programs. And so the governor just sat down and said, we need to develop some broad principles, need to think about what is the best way to take this on, and again, what are the public policy choices to make? And we sat down and did that. The budget was a means to an end, not an end in and of itself. And the end was provide for economic growth. So let's look at everything that we do in putting this budget together as a lens to enhance Ohio as a place where people want to do business. We've got to control our costs. We've got to deliver that predictability and stability. And so we did that. Needed to eliminate that structural imbalance, which we did over the 2-year period of time. Our ongoing revenues and our ongoing expenditures are in balance in the second year of this biennial budget, and on our budget plan, we're right on mark. Revenues coming in above the estimates so far. We wanted to review all spending, not just general revenue spending, but spending in the non-general revenue fund accounts as well. The idea being that we have to think about how does Ohio take in revenue, how do we allocate it so we can protect those important priorities. State aid for schools, state foundation support for schools, increased. State foundation support for our institutions of higher education, increased. Need to reform and restructure state government. Medicaid, prisons, our economic development operation with the creation of Jobs Ohio and a means to fund Jobs Ohio. And I know we'll hear more about that as the afternoon goes on. And then lastly, preserve the social safety net. Let us make sure that the services for the most vulnerable are adequately funded. And again, careful time and attention was given to that. And I think, as the governor said out of the box, people said, how can this possibly be done to balance this budget without raising taxes and without tremendously harming the state support for these important social service programs. It was accomplished because of the governor's willingness to take on some of these hard questions, carefully review all spending, which is what we did to get this budget in balance.
Let me say